Authorities say overnight airstrikes on the northern city of Chernihiv took out the city's water supply. The water company posted on Facebook on Friday morning that it was repairing the system. 2 Ukrainian soldiers were killed and 6 were injured in the Russian attack, according to the head of the regional administration. Russia says it hit military airfields in the western Ukrainian cities of LUTSK and IVANO Frankivsk on Friday. What was once a normal hospital on the outskirts of Kiev now appears the nearest medical facility to the front line and is given over entirely to treating wounded Ukrainian soldiers. The staff have no training in treating shrapnel injuries or gunshot wounds, but now find themselves part of the war effort against the Russian invaders. Meanwhile, as residents continue to flee, there was partial evacuation in some cities. During the evacuation of civilians from DNIPRO district, 1 policeman was killed, another policeman and a civilian were seriously injured. Despite promises by Russian officials to provide green corridor, reports suggest military officers opened fire on people. The killed policeman was a senior sergeant who assisted in the evacuation of local civilians. In what he described as a rather depressing update, United Nations spokesperson Stefan Dujarric said the humanitarian situation in Ukraine continues to deteriorate at an alarming pace, adding that according to the UN Refugee Agency, an estimated 1.9 million people have been internally displaced and more than 2.3 million people have now crossed international borders out of the country.
3 things are critical in the short term, as the Emergency Relief Coordinator Martin Griffiths has stressed. Civilians, whether they stay or leave, must be respected and protected. Safe passage is needed for humanitarian supplies, and we need a system of constant communications with parties to the conflict.
Meanwhile, to the fallout of the meeting of foreign ministers in Turkey, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has revealed Russia will never try again to be dependent on the West. He also claimed that Russia's property rights have been stamped on by the West. He said they will endure the crisis, adding that Ukraine seems to want to have meetings for the sake of meetings. On the other hand, Ukraine's foreign minister said he discussed a 24-hour ceasefire with his Russian counterpart, but no progress was made. The foreign ministers of Russia and Ukraine met for face-to-face talks in Turkey on Thursday for the first high-level contact between the two sides since Moscow invaded its ex-Soviet neighbor last month.
We did not make progress on this since it seems that there are other decision makers for this matter in Russia. We agreed to continue efforts to seek a solution to the humanitarian issues on the ground.
I'll make you one other prediction, by the way.
Away from the conference in Turkey, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson says he fears Russia could deploy chemical weapons in Ukraine. Mr. Johnson reiterates Western officials' fears that Mr. Vladimir Putin could use chemical weapons in Ukraine after Moscow accused Kyiv of planning to deploy them in the battlefield.
They start saying that there are chemical weapons that have been stored by their opponents or by the Americans, and so when they themselves deploy chemical weapons, as I fear they may, they have a sort of a maskirovka, a fake story ready to go.
Our policies set for this year.
Still on Friday, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang said China supports all efforts to resolve the crisis in Ukraine by peaceful means and called on relevant parties to exercise utmost restraint and prevent massive humanitarian crisis in the country. Mr. Li noted that the current situation in Ukraine is grave and said China deeply regrets and is concerned about it, hoping that peace will return at an early date, while taking questions over the Ukraine crisis at a press conference after the closing of the 5th session of the 13th National People's Congress, China's national legislature. The current situation in Ukraine is indeed disconcerting. Utmost efforts should be made to support Russia and Ukraine in carrying forward negotiations of ceasefire by overcoming difficulties to achieve peace. We support and encourage all efforts that are conducive to a peaceful settlement of the crisis. The pressing task now is to prevent tensions from escalating or even getting out of control. There is consensus about this among the parties concerned and the international community, he said.